Tonight on the Mac to the Future Go livecast, somewhere Eero the Rainbow. So clever. Would you pay $10 a month for Apple News? Smartwatches time is now. FCC chairman is tired of fake calls. And should Apple revive the airport router in lieu of Amazon's Eero purchase? All that and more stuff all tonight on the Mac to the Future livecast. Woo! And hello, everyone. How are you all doing this evening? All two or three of you that are currently watching live, we do appreciate the fact that you are here. My name is Guy Serle. I am one of the hosts of the Mac to the Future livecast, and I am joined, as usual, by Mr. Warren Sklar. Hello there, Mr. Warren Sklar. How are you today as you drink your water?
Sorry.
Yeah.
Caught me off guard. Hey, how are you?
Hi.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm here. I'm good.
Okay, well.
Yeah, excellent.
All right, very good. I'm going to switch right over to David. Hello, Mr. David.
Oh,
David
how you
Ginsburg.
doing?
What is with people and drinking water? Is this like a thing tonight?
I did a spit take. I beat you.
It is thing. Hey, wait. It went off. It went away too quick.
I can make it come back. There.
How's it going, everybody? Glad
Hi.
to be here.
So are you guys excited about being here tonight?
I am very excited.
Yeah, we've got something kind of special. Now you'll notice that the layout when all three of us are on is a little bit different. And the reason why it's a little bit different is that I have finally figured out the way to have Facebook comments as you guys make them come up live. They will appear over there on the right-hand side of the screen. It'll be over, over here. It'll go from the bottom and go up to the top. See, right there.
Wow.
So we're all
Look at
crazy.
that.
Wow.
Yeah, isn't that exciting?
That is crazy.
It's like nutso technology, all
That is
working.
You made the words
blows
go
my
from
mind.
here to there. How'd you make those words move?
Hey, FM. You know what FM is? Not frequency modulation.
Freaking modulation.
No. It's a different F word magic. That's what that stands for.
Effing magic. Okay.
There, like my spit take. Well, as the show goes on tonight, at some point or another, I have to apologize because I am going to cough or something along those. I have been very, very ill. We actually, Gaz and I did not do a MyMac podcast last weekend because I was just miserable. I didn't go to work on Monday. I went in for like 4 hours yesterday because I didn't want to have like just a crap ton of stuff hitting me. And I took today off because I wasn't really feeling well this morning. I actually don't feel bad right now. I don't feel great, but I don't feel bad, except for this cough and the congestion and everything. I'll be going back to work tomorrow. And so, that's kind of what's going on. Just ill.
You've been sick before.
I have been sick before, but this one
like two months ago. Yeah.
This one was really nasty. Because usually when I get sick, it's like 24 hours, 48 hours, and then it's gone. This one was like, it was a slow creeper. It was like Friday. I was like, what's wrong? Oh, no, I'm fine. It can't be that bad, he said. He said. And then I got up Saturday and it was like, oh, I really don't feel well. And by the time it got close to the time when when Gaz and I would usually record the MyMac show, it was like, maybe tomorrow. And then Sunday came along and it was like, no, No, I'm so sick. Ah,
So
okay. Beg your
Do the
pardon?
like buttons? Do the like buttons do anything? Like
Yeah, I see.
the emotion?
I see the not on
Well-
our view, but they're on the Facebook page.
Oh, are they?
Yeah. No.
Well-
like I thought they would come up on the.
Well, those will
the
come
chat
up.
window.
I mean, that's basically coming up in Facebook for people who will be looking at this after I edit it down to its bare essentials. They won't see those. That's
Yeah.
just a Facebook thing.
No,
We
I
tried
know
this
that.
last week and
live.
it didn't work. It just
I know
didn't
that.
work
I
last
want to
week.
see if you got the comments going. I want to see all the hearts and the things fly across. Never mind.
No, that's just way too much work.
That is
Way too much work. I can't do
That's-
that. That's crazy
and-
talk, Warren.
That's NFM is what it is.
Non-freaking magic?
No freaking magic.
No freaking magic. Okay.
No freaking.
Yep.
Okay, let's start.
Well, we have a couple of stories to talk about. Oh, actually, before we get into that, you guys have some new stuff going on in your places. You were telling me, yeah, the
He
lights, the
Oh, yeah.
lights.
Oh yeah, if anybody doesn't notice, I've got some really new lighting in here. Yeah, so it's a little brighter and I look a little clearer and put together this nice little gear here. I bought a pair of Amazon Essentials light stands and some little light boxes. The whole package probably cost me about $80.
Really? Can you move the camera so I can see what they look like,
Yeah, I can bring one down.
or bring them down? Don't blast yourself out though.
I'll try not to. That's the light. And it's got a box on it.
Okay.
And this is the stand. I don't know how high I can get this up so you can see it. It's an Amazon
Really?
Essentials. Yep.
That's cool.
Amazon Basics. Excuse me. And yeah, I got it.
Are those meant for video?
Yep, absolutely. These are.
And there's like filters and stuff, or is it's just they're in a box?
I've got a light. I got
and
a
you
light
can
box
kinda-
on it.
Okay. And was that extra or was that included?
Yeah, they were like $15 for two of them.
Okay. Well, put a link in there.
Well, this actually here's another one. It came with three. That's
Really? Oh, cool.
That's the light. That's what it looks like.
I've got. Oh, where is it? Here it is. I've got a little tiny one, but
Yeah,
I don't
these are-
use it because with just one, all it does, like if I turn this on, all right, this is now on, and it doesn't matter where I put it.
No.
It just like, yeah, you need more than one light source.
And that's what's great about these. These are I raised them up high. They're above me, so they're reflecting. And this also will run on batteries.
What?
So you can put 6 AA batteries in this bad boy too.
And they'll last like 10 minutes.
An hour. And then
Warren, what are you doing?
He's looking at.
I'm showing you my lights.
Oh, is that your?
I have a color, like one of the hue colored light bulbs, so I can make it do that. So you guys are just playing.
So
with
why,
lights, like
Warren?
red,
Why are Hugh doing
green.
this?
Because I'm jealous of David's light box. Is what it is. Look, I can make it dance. They're pulsating.
Good
lights.
evening, Damon.
Do.
Well, if you want me to really outdo you here, look at here.
do.
Like,
You guys are really making me regret even bringing this up.
This is like the red light district in here now. Did you see?
there's
Look
the
at
new
that.
lighting here.
But we're not in Amsterdam.
It's green now.
We're not in
green now.
Amsterdam.
Ooh,
can't see it, it's too bright.
rainbow.
Oh, now it's blue.
Okay, that's good.
We're done. I'm unplugging.
It's the
Oh.
light show with Guy,
Awesome.
David, and Warren.
Hey, that's weird. Their comments aren't coming in.
I know. I just noticed that actually too.
Oh man, mine.
Damien's
Mine
on
did.
mute.
No, see, mine came in.
Oh wait,
Mine did
yeah,
too.
mine did too.
How come theirs aren't coming in?
That's weird.
Dag nabbit.
This is the kind of stuff that makes me crazy. I think it's like, wow, look at this. I can really make this work and everything's great. And also it's like, it's not working. Why are the only thing I can think of is our comments, because we're all in Mimo together, that they're all coming in. But what is the point of having our comments come in when we're talking and nobody else's comments come in?
Well, but we're making the comments within the Facebook page, so it doesn't make sense.
I don't know. for
It's
some
Damon,
reason,
not Damien. Damon.
Did
Damon.
did you read the manual guy
Yeah.
of whatever
Read-
this
what,
read
is?
RTFM?
Yes.
RTFM, yes.
Yeah, read the
Did
freaking magic.
Did
It's
you turn it off
Damon.
and on again?
Damon. Sorry,
I
Damon.
did. I do that before every single
Did
time
you
I start
reboot?
the show. I reboot the computer.
I was looking at IT crowd. Did you turn it off and on again?
I did. Well, maybe
That's the
it
button.
was some kind of feedback loop, and you don't want that to. Hello? Hello? I love that
Yes.
show. Yeah.
Me too.
Okay, well,
Now we've got off on tangents.
yeah, the comments aren't working. That's like distressing. I really thought this would be a cool thing to have happen. And
How about we just copy and paste what people say like this? Let's see what that.
well, that's really not the point, though.
Kind of pointless, yeah.
See, it works
Damon.
for us, but it's not
Yeah.
working
Yeah.
for other people.
Back to the drawing board.
Yeah,
Okay.
we'll have to try this again. And well, you know what I can do? I can do this since it's not working anyway. We
It's a
can
good
just
thing
go
you're
with
not in
this.
tech, guy. It's a good thing you're not in tech.
Wait a minute, what just happened?
We're going back to the try view.
Hold on a second. This is getting weird. There, got that off. And we want
I've
this.
seen
There.
we go. The try view.
Yeah, I see it. Even though I changed stuff around, I kept the existing stuff that we already had. The tried and true. All right. Well,
Let's talk about
Since-
some news, huh?
since nothing else is working, we're going to go on to the first story. This is something that I saw over at GearBrain.
Yeah, it just broke today.
It just broke today. Kind of calling it Netflix for news. Apple is supposed to be announcing next month a new subscription service for news that would include stories from major magazines and newspapers, assuming that they'll be on board at all. Reports state that some are not happy that Apple is claiming one half of the $10 a month the new service is supposed to be asking for. They're also unhappy with terms calling for a commitment to at least 1 year of supplying news, and that it's a much higher percentage than the 30% that Apple takes for app sales. And also that there's no promise to share user data with publishers who presumably would use that to try to entice readers to a service away from Apple so that they can get all the money themselves. That's what people do. So, you guys have used the news app, right?
Yeah, and I'm actually planning on doing some tips on it next on my podcast here soon. So, it's a good app. I mean, I've been using Flipboard for quite a long time, so Flipboard has a lot of good things to it as well. But this is going to be interesting. You know, they bought that news service, which I can't remember. I can't remember the name of the service that they bought, Apple.
Well, did they buy it for the service, or did they buy it for the underlying
yeah.
technology?
Oh yeah, absolutely. What was
They
it?
buy
Remember what
it
it's
for the
called, Warren?
service. I can't remember. I'll look it up.
Well, it doesn't matter. I mean,
Well,
but
anyway, they
did
bought
it? We've all seen Apple News, the way that the program looks and the way that the program works.
Yeah, no, it's
Did it look like that, the older service, or did either one of you guys ever see that one?
Yeah, it was similar. It was similar.
Okay.
The other service also included magazines and such for subscriptions too. You pay a fee per month, and you would get whatever magazines that they subscribe to too.
Well,
so
that's
really, but
supposed to be part of what this is going to be about.
correct. Yeah, and that's really what Apple's goal is with this. Is they want to get a news aggregator. They want to get everything aggregated in one place. They want to have other services that are available. Not only the magazines, you got news. You have you're gonna get video too. Texture. That's it.
Texture, that's it.
Yeah, Texture was a great service. I tried it out, and they really had some great stuff to it. So Apple, like everything, buys it up and now is going to merge it all into this new app. So, but the other thing too that they talked about was getting into commitments with other big networks like Showtime and like possibly HBO. I guess they're still working on the HBO as far as negotiations with that. So, but Netflix won't be involved with this at all.
Well,
so-
sorry. Oops. I've lost complete control over what I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
There.
So
Um,
it's. I think it's going to be. I think.
But
that
that's
this
supposed
Apple's
to
been
be
waiting
like
for
a
this for
separate
while.
service, isn't it? Isn't it
No, there's two
the
services.
video
There's a
service
news
is going to be
service
separate?
and a exclusive content service. Just two different services.
Content services. Yeah, there's two different services. Yeah.
Okay,
The
well-
news. Okay,
well-
so yeah, you're right. I'm sorry. I crossed over.
Yeah,
It's
crossed the
you
beams.
got the news and you got
Don't-
the video, right?
Don't cross the streams, David.
My
Don't
God,
Warren.
I'm sorry.
What do you
Um,
thi- Remember,
yeah,
they said that would be a bad thing.
Ray, I crossed the streams. I
looked
said
at-
not
I
to
looked-
cross the streams.
Don't look in the
Ray.
box. I looked in the
Ray.
box.
Ray,
Warren, let's
what
get
did
back.
you do, Ray? Come back, Ray. Okay. Yeah, no, I used to watch. I used to look at. There was an app called
Ghostbusters a
Appy.
lot.
Yes, there was a app called Appy Geek at one point, which was a news app for tech sites, and basically it aggregated all the stories for tech. And
Yeah.
one day it just stopped working. So I'm like, all right, well, let me try news, and I went to the Apple News app, and it's nice. It does kind of the same thing. It's an aggregator. It takes all the news sources and it kind of puts it together into one
Yeah.
app. And then you could subcategorize. I'm looking at it now. There's different interests you could put in there as
Sure.
far as what you want to follow, and it puts it together. And it's not very. It doesn't have ads. It doesn't. It pretty much does what you want it to do. So, I'm assuming it's going to be like that. And if they could get the people to come aboard, they'll be
You're talking about the publishers.
the
to come
publishers.
aboard.
So the question is whether the publishers is it going to integrate with the app, like the stories that are in those papers, are they going to show up as stories within the list of topics, or is it going to be one whole thing dedicated to that paper, like a whole New York Times section?
Yeah.
Who knows? But
Well, I think doing
Yeah.
it that way would defeat the purpose of having a news aggregator. I mean, if you're looking for stories on, oh God, what is that woman's name? The new congressman from Brooklyn. If you're looking for, whatever her name is. If you're looking for stories based on her, and that's not meant as a slam against her. She's got it's an odd name and I can't remember it. If you're looking for stories based on the things that she's doing, then it wouldn't make any sense to have to search through the entire Washington Post or New York Times or LA Times or Chicago
Well, I'm
Tribune
sure it'll be.
to find
yeah.
stories on that.
I'm sure it'll be searchable too, but the thing with the New York Times, so the holdouts now, New York Times, Wall Street Journal, one other big one, they were saying. The thing with them is you could buy a subscription to them now on your own.
Right.
You could subscribe to New York Times, and that's what you get. You basically get an electronic version of the New York
Of
Times
their
with the
newspaper,
app and the
right.
website.
Yeah. Washington
Um,
Post, Chicago Tribune. and all
Yeah,
that.
exactly. So I would think that for them to play this game, they would want to have at least that kind of option too, where they're pretty much a spotlight, where you could, if you're subscribing, you could go and see the same thing as if you were subscribing to their service directly. But I'm sure it's also parsed, and I'm sure you could also get those stories integrated in the app.
Well, how much are subscriptions, a monthly subscription to like the Washington Post or the New York Times?
I don't know.
It can be pricey.
Not
but
the,
I
and
mean,
I'm
New York
not talking.
Times-
I'm not talking about the Dead Tree version. I mean the online version.
No.
No,
I
no,
mean,
no,
that could be pricey. Same thing with the Wall Street Journal. I mean, you're spending probably $150, $200 for Wall Street Journal.
That's a year.
That's a year, and then the Washington Post probably around $100. So New York Times
$2
right
a
around the
week.
same. Yeah.
Subscribe to New York Times for $2 a week.
Yeah, but that's a teaser.
So, well, even if
for
it
1
wasn't,
year. For 1 year, you get that. Okay.
so
It's a
that's
teaser rate.
that's 96. That's basically it's $100 a year
$100 a year.
Yeah.
for an online version of the newspaper.
Right. So if you're paying
$8 a week is basically the same thing you would pay for close
$2
or
a
close
week.
to, $2 a week. Okay,
If
well
you're
that's
right.
well,
So if you're,
that's
let's
even
say
more.
per
That's
month you're paying
$105 a year.
let's say you're paying $8 a month for the service, and Apple has the same service for $10 a month that includes a whole bunch of newspapers,
Right.
including that one. you're going to pay the extra $2 and do that. Now, what does the Wall Street Journal and New York Times get out of that? Mass.
Well,
I
it
mean,
depends. It depends on how many people, because it's, I mean, how much each source gets is going to depend on how many people are reading their stuff, because Apple will know based on click-throughs who's reading stories from the New York Times, who's reading stories from National Enquirer, who's
Right,
reading stories from whatever.
But there wasn't any indication that they're going to pay more for the people.
No, that's not what I'm saying. It's basically from the story that I was reading, it's basically saying that if the New York Times gets, say, 20% of the traffic, then they will get 20% of whatever Apple brings in that they're pushing out to the publishers. So it's on a per click, not really per click, but it's on a percentage basis where each publisher will receive X number of points or percentage points toward however many people are signed into the service.
Right.
But
So
the big question to me is how many people are going to be willing to spend $10 a month for this service that aren't already spending that for their local newspaper, an online version of that. And if
somebody subscribed to New York Times and Wall Street Journal and they're paying $16 a month, they'll definitely go to $10 a month to pay less.
Right. Well, then how is that in the best interests of the publishers? Because they've basically each lost $8 to make basically a percentage of that.
Right. So if you have 1 million people subscribing the old way to the New York Times, and then Apple does this, and it's a lot easier.
They lose half of that.
Well, they'll lose half, but then there'll be maybe 5 million people or 10 million people doing the Apple News thing, because everybody has an iPhone and it's easy to do it on iTunes.
Right. Okay. Well, the other thing that they're not happy about is Apple isn't going to share the data. And because data is a resource that can be resold by the publishers, losing, even if they gain a little more money from whatever their percentage is from the subscriber base, losing the data is probably the bigger sticking point, I would think, than even the raw amount of money.
At this point, this is just Apple Music. This is Apple Music. Apple News is the same as Apple Music. At this point, you're taking the individual sales and you're merging it together into one big service, and the artists are all losing money on each individual subscription, but they're hopefully gaining money in how much people are going to use it. As far as data goes, I don't know.
But see, this is the problem. This is part of the reason why Apple had such a terrible time getting studios to sign up and to supply TV shows and movies. They saw what happened with music, and where essentially almost overnight all of their former the former ways they used to make money just disappeared. And yes, it's kind of like with I Love Lucy. They made it up in volume. I'm laughing because most people probably don't even get that reference, but they did make more money in the long run. But the initial rollout of iTunes as a paid-for service was not in the best interests of the music publisher, but they didn't know that at the time because it was a brand new thing. Well, when it came time to throw movies and TV shows into the mix from iTunes, well, the studios had, learning the lesson from the music publishers, a lot of them held out. And it wasn't until the music publishers actually started to make a lot more money than what they were making. Because, I mean, right now, for all of the music publishers crying of poverty, they're making more money today than they ever have. But it took a long time for that market to build up. And I can't believe that it's been that different really for video. You know, they're making more money now, but it's because it's a new source of revenue and their old sources of revenue never went away. But with newspapers and magazines, these, you know, especially the Dead Tree versions, these people are hanging on for dear life.
Yeah.
And
And
how
that's the
many
difference.
newspapers have folded over the last 10
a lot.
years? So if Apple's coming along and saying, okay, well, you were making $8 per person for your subscription, we're going to take that away, and we're going to give you a percentage of the $5 per person that we're currently going to allow you to have. And I mean, that's a hard sell.
No, but just like what we talked about with what Lauren just said, you know, they could get 5 or 10 million subscribers. You know, you can multiply the percentage off that. I mean, how are these publishers not going to resist something like that? Plus, getting the notoriety with Apple and with this app and putting their name out there, that in itself is worth a lot of value too.
Well, and we're also assuming that people are going to be willing to spend $10 a month for this new, and not just the people that are already signed into online newspapers, but I mean, in order for this to work, you have to have a huge number of Apple users, because right now it's not available for Windows. But you have to have a huge number of Apple users sign up for a service like this for it to even come close to what they're making.
But I think they're banking it on mobile devices. I mean, smartphones are the way to go. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't think they're worrying too much about people on their computers using that service. Although they may come up with a web-based version of it. Who knows? But I think
you know what? I wasn't even
people,
thinking about iOS. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So,
I said, because the majority of the people are going to be using it on their iPhone or their iPad. I mean, that's really where I think the wave of the future is, and we knew that. I mean, smart devices are here to stay. And I mean, why do you think the percentage of usage of Windows and Macs has dropped so much? Because everybody has smart devices. So
I think most newspapers are going to jump at this. The big ones are going to take a little bit longer. As you said, they're dying out. The paper version's dying out. And unlike video and music, guys, news is free, really free everywhere. Everybody wants to write news, and everybody wants to you know, put it out there for free. So, you know, what happens when we get to an article?
Yeah.
What happens when we get to an article that's from New York Times and Wall Street Journal? It says, it gives you the first line, and it's like, click here to subscribe to see the rest. What's the first thing we do?
We click off.
Go to Google and find another article.
Yeah.
And that's what they're fighting with. There's too many alternatives right now for news, and they're struggling. So if there's a service that's going to put together good news sources and a whole bunch of them for a fairly low price, then hey, Frank's comment came through.
Yeah, no, I just. Oh, it did?
Yeah,
Frank's with it. Yeah, it just flashed up.
Frank's came through.
Right after I type something.
Yeah.
Well, hold on a second.
Don't throw us off topic here.
Yeah, that's all right. This is dead anyways.
All right. Well, let's try it again. Anyone who's watching this through, and I guess that's only going to work in. Oh, you know what? I didn't even think about this. It's only going to work if it's done through, if they're watching it through my feed, not if it's done through Mac to the Future.
Ah, that's why. But
yeah,
it is
but
working
this is
for
your
us
feed.
in Mac to the Future.
Okay,
Oh,
see, it's
here it
working
is.
there.
Yeah, George
What?
said, "Hey, Dave."
Okay, I don't know.
Now it's working.
I'm completely confused now.
All right.
Okay. Next topic.
Tonight, guys. Come on.
We're gonna move on to Masked Singer. God, am I gonna have to fight with the Masked Singer every single week? All right.
Our show.
If you
Next.
put some links in these notes here, I have to copy and paste.
Sorry. Next story. Apple Watch leading growing sales. Sales of smartwatches are up over 50% year over year, according to sources that track such sales. Some are claiming the 18 to 34 demographic is leading the growth, but that older consumers are more interested in health features and greater control over home automation. Apple's Tim Cook has claimed that their smartwatch division sales are already approaching that of a Fortune 200 company, while, per usual, not breaking out any data on actual sales. And let's go with Warren. Warren.
I'm not really sure what to say about that. So there, smartwatches are going up, fitness is going up. Old people like the watches more. They're seeing the value of it. Good. Keep pushing them.
Okay, Dave.
That's a good way to follow up that one.
Yeah.
No, I mean, and we already know Apple was the leader in the watch market. I mean, that's no new news there. So, but the article's right. I mean, it's really the health piece of this is really booming. It really is. It's just incredible. People wanting to have these watches on their wrists and wanting to be able to measure all of their health. I mean, it just blows my mind all the things that I'm measuring, and I've even forgot about some of the stuff. You go into the health app and you look at oh wow, I guess I did do that many steps, and my heart rate was measured. And I mean, when did you used to be able to do that before? So everybody's really are pumped with these watches, and there's other manufacturers out there, obviously, even like a watchmaker like Fossil got into the smart watch business, and they're doing okay. They're not going to be anywhere near the market as Apple is, but I think the sales are going to just continue to thrive with these watches, and I've seen it from the beginning. I mean, I've owned every watch since they've come out. I've been there in my Apple user group. When I go in, I can keep using this analogy, but it always just I think about it all the time. Is I'm in the room. How many people have an Apple Watch? Nobody raises their hand. Now 2 years later, how many people have an Apple Watch? The whole room raises their hand because of this phenomenon of people really want these types of devices on their wrist. I mean, I'm answering my phone on my wrist. I'm doing a lot of things that I could never do before that I would have to do it on my iPhone. So, it's just going to keep going.
Okay. I'm kind of, I have an Apple Watch, but I don't think I use it the way that I'm expected to, especially for somebody that's older. I won't say what my age is, 58, but it just seems like that's something that older people, 58, are expected to be excited.
You only have 5
about.
years on me.
Oh, you're 63?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
There's no expected way to use it. You use it however you want. My watch tells me to breathe and get up sometimes, and I ignore it.
Yeah, the breathe I never got into. The breathe app.
Sometimes I'm laying on the couch.
The breathe thing mostly annoys me because I'm usually doing something else when it comes on. It's like, no. I can't afford to breathe right now. So,
I'll be on the couch and my watch says time to get up, and I'm like, you don't own me. You can't tell me what to do. And then like an hour later, I'll get up and the watch says, you did it. You got up, and I'm like, yeah, I guess I did. But I'm getting up to go to the bathroom and I'm going to get some ice
The watch
cream,
doesn't care. The watch does not care.
George Brooks in the room just made a comment. Yeah, insurance companies love it. Yeah, a lot of insurance companies are giving them away for free. They'll give you a watch if you allow them to measure all of your health stuff. You can get lower premiums as well as they'll give you the device for free. Do you want to do that?
Doesn't that mean you have to? Doesn't that mean you also have to kind of sign up for a service that basically sends your data to your insurance company? So you send it to your life insurance company, and you take off your watch, and the next thing you know, your phone is ringing saying, "Are you still alive? Do we have to send a check?"
Well, did you fall? Because we just got the notification that you fell because the watch told us.
I do have AARP. Both my wife and I have AARP.
I do too. The breathing thing is lame. Okay. I'm a AARP card holder too. Warren, you're younger than us, I think, right? So you don't.
No, I'm like 48. When does this start?
50.
By the time you hit 50, you'll get all the literature, all the AARP.
You're going to get the letters. I started getting the letters like I'm 53, so I started.
And seeing how I'm only 25 years old, it'll be a long, long time before that gets sent to me.
So I got 2 years until I
Yeah.
get AARP stuff. All right.
All right. So that was an exciting story. Next
It
story
was.
is gotta move myself to there, and then I come over here and I hit this one. Bink. Robocop to end robocalls. The US FCC chairman Ajit Pai, I hope I said that right, told telecommunication companies that the FCC will step in if they couldn't quickly find a way to deal with spoof numbers and robocalling. For those who don't know what that is, robocalling is a system of automatically calling numbers in a database and quickly switching to an actual alive person to handle the call if there's an answer at the other end. Many times, these companies that are not based in areas the calls are received in will use a fake number to simulate a local area code. This is also known as spoofing. Telecommunication companies are asking for more time to implement a more powerful caller ID authentication. So, let's start with Dave. Hello, Dave.
Hello there. Yeah, it needs to be done yesterday, as far as I'm concerned. It's what are they waiting for? I mean, this robocalling is beyond out of control. I'm glad the FCC is starting to step in on this, and they don't deserve any time. I mean, in my opinion, I mean they need to fix this problem, and especially on mobile phones now. I mean, mobile devices, your phone. I mean, I'm getting calls all the time now. It's just absolutely crazy. Yeah. Nothing's blocked anymore. They spoof it. You know, the famous one is they spoof the first three numbers of your prefix of your phone. So I would get phone calls and whatever my prefix is, and my area code, and the first three numbers, and then there'll always be different ones. Yeah. So you can't even block it.
Well, and not only that, it comes up as being from your area. I'm not talking about the numbers.
My area.
I mean, it'll come up and say, "Oh, well, this is from Crystal Lake, or this is from Chicago, or this is from wherever," and it's not.
Oh, I know it isn't. I mean, it's absolute spoofing. I mean, and then the number, and then I've always been curious. Sometimes I would call the number back, and sometimes it would say, "Oh, we'll be right with you," and then other times it'd just be, "You can't make a call to this direct number." So I mean, or
it'll be somebody's number that they're spoofing, and they're like, "I didn't call you. Who are you? Why are you calling me?"
There's been that too. I mean, I would be beyond irritated if that was the case, and someone spoofed my own number. But then that's unusual. But it just they need like the article says, all American consumers are sick and tired of unwanted robocalls, and it needs to stop. It absolutely needs to stop. Just get tired of it. And I get calls from all the calls that come through them. They're all over the country. I mean, I've even had ones from overseas. I said, "What the hell is this? I'm not answering this." So I mean,
I just got a solicitor call as we were doing this story.
No, you didn't.
I did. Didn't you just hear that little beep? That was my phone picking up and then hanging up.
That's
what the hell why is that happening?
That's me.
That's going to go away in just a second. Why did that come up? I don't know why that came up. It was supposed to be this. Warren.
So, yeah. Also,
Talk to us, Goose.
They spoofed Apple too. So a lot of people were getting an email call from Apple Inc.
Yep.
That wasn't Apple Inc. I actually probably about 6 months ago, my wife and I stopped answering the landline completely, no matter what, unless we totally know who's calling. Like, actually, the only person who calls the landline anymore is my parents because they can't figure out not to do that.
They can't figure out a new telephone number. my mother-in-law does that. My mother-in-law will call
my
our
cell
number.
Phone.
Yeah.
Call my cell phone.
She won't talk. She won't call up. She won't call up the other phone. She just won't do it.
And then for some reason on my cell phone, the only thing I get probably twice a day, they want to sell me a medical brace. I don't even know what that. I don't know what that is, but that is our records indicate that you qualify for a free medical brace. And I'm like,
nice.
Twice a day. I literally don't get any other spam calls on my cell phone than that.
Well, my wife used to give to, because my wife's father was a DC firefighter, so she was such a sucker for all of the firefighting related, and it's all It's all no. I don't. That doesn't bother me because those are actual firefighters. Like during Labor Day, when the firefighters are out there, that's actual firefighters doing that. That doesn't bother me. But when you get the calls, yeah, that's
get the
crap.
Calls from the fraternal order of police.
Yeah,
because it's not really them, right?
Yeah. And the thing is, these systems are so sophisticated that the person that, if you pick up the phone and you're actually talking to somebody, okay, they know what number, area code, and city that where you are. So they have their little script there. Well, this is the Fraternal Order of Police for Fairfax County, or whatever county it is that you live in, or whatever city it is that you live in.
See, that upsets me more. That upsets me more than a lot of the others because pretending to be the police department sucks. I mean,
it's not. Well, I mean, there are legitimate charities that do call that, and they are based on local services. I mean, this does happen, but the vast majority of the calls that you're going to receive are nothing but crap. And they'll have a call center in Kentucky or Illinois or Wisconsin or wherever they can find, cheap office space where they can throw in 50 to 100 numbers. They bring in a bunch of people and basically the people that you're talking to are making a percentage of however much that you give to the company. The company, of course, gets the lion's share of it. And in order to stay legal, they will put out toward whatever charity it is that they say that they're doing 5 to 10%, something along those lines, which will keep them legal. But it's still wrong because the vast majority of the money that's being made is being kept by whatever company it is that is calling you. See, now I'm all out. Yeah. I'm losing. I have almost no air, and I'm getting all worked up and pissed off over this crap.
You're overclamped.
Oh, you knew going in this article, but we all have some very strong opinions about it.
Yeah, it's wrong.
The past 2 years, it's gotten a lot worse too. I mean,
you know what? Well, you guys know who I work for, okay? And don't say who it is, but I will call up and use that office and say, on my phone, and all I'll hear on the other end is like click, and then they're gone, and then I block the number. So yeah. Mm-hmm. Anyway, I'm so sorry. I am so very sorry. We're gonna move on to something that's bound to not get us worked up, but it might anyway. And it is this story. Amazon is purchasing Eero. Apple stopped selling and designing the airport Wi-Fi router last year, but some are thinking that may have been a hasty decision, with Amazon buying the mesh network company Eero, which potentially could give Amazon complete access to all the different websites you visit, as even a VPN has to first go through your router. So, Warren.
Yeah, I mean, all the tinfoil hat people are coming out now with that. I think Amazon's not going to do anything like that. I think people would figure it out if they were. In fact, I'm sure they would figure it out if they were doing that, and they would make a big stink about that. As far as the other part, I mean, do you want to talk about why Apple's not doing it, or
they don't think the market? I don't think they believe the market is worth it. As far as the hardware goes. I mean, sorry, where am I? There I am. Apple, if I hit enough buttons, eventually I'll come up on the screen. Apple is, throughout all of this, until services becomes the major part of what they do, Apple is through and through a company that's based on selling hardware. And with all of the cable companies basically giving routers away, and including wireless NNG, and now what's the new standard? AC. Yeah, and the new AC standard basically built into the routers that they're giving away. I just felt that, or I just think Apple felt that they wasn't worth competing in. That there wasn't the kind of money. Siri, I don't want to talk to you right now. It basically, I just looked at my screen. It had this. Do you remember what happened? I think that happened last week, where it picked up like every single thing that I said, and then I held it up, and you guys could see like this big, long, huge message that I was trying to send to Siri. It's like, no, I don't want to talk to you. So yeah, I don't think Apple sees that routers, even Wi-Fi routers or mesh network routers, is a market that's worth competing in right now. What do you think? What do you guys think?
The only thing I'll say about that, I think they missed an opportunity with the Apple TV and the HomePods. I think if they would have put mesh, if they would have built mesh into those devices, since they want you to spread the HomePods around the house, you add the mesh networking to it, people would buy more HomePods.
But doesn't that create a problem when I mean, basically these are devices that are eating up major bandwidth all themselves, much less trying to pass bandwidth back and forth.
How hard would it just to stick a mesh router inside that tube?
No, not hard at all. I mean, you could do it.
It's a tube. It's a black tube. Stick, just add another layer of mesh of a Eero type thing on the bottom of it, and it's a router.
All right, so it would have to have two completely separate radios. Then it would have to have one radio just for what the Apple TV wants to do, which is to stream video and audio to a television set, and then would have to have a separate radio for distributing a Wi-Fi signal.
Yeah,
it's easily done, and the only point would be the only advantage. I think it would cause more people to buy more HomePods if they want to try to sell more. Hey, put one downstairs, put one in this room. Hey, put one upstairs. Hey, you know what? You just improved your network and got music all over the house.
I don't know. What do you think, Dave?
Yeah, I mean, really, kind of spin off the whole point of Amazon buying Eero is just they want to get into the network business. Eero was a very, very, very good system. I mean, a lot of people were buying it. It's heavily promoted everywhere. Mesh networking is the hot thing. I currently don't have a mesh router, but I would consider it in the future. But with Amazon grabbing it, yeah, I mean, there's always that question of privacy. But look at the Amazon Echo. I mean, that device, everybody questions the privacy on there too. They record your voice. They track what you're asking, that kind of stuff. So. But even with the network the way it is, I just don't think that Apple should ever revive the airport at this point. I think they were smart. They saw the writing on the wall. The business was drying up, and that was it. So it's just I just don't see Apple doing it. With the services business that they're focusing on, what we talked about earlier with the news app and video, that's their focus now. They don't care about networking. So. Good for Amazon. They grabbed a good company. Hopefully they leave it be and just let it run independent. I mean, they've done that with Ring when they bought Ring and they bought that company. So that company's running pretty independent, even though Amazon owns it. I mean, same thing with Audible.
Speaking of which, have you guys seen that Ring commercial with the two thieves coming up? They're like, "Oh man, they got Ring," and the guys at the gym or something. He's like, "Yeah, you guys better run." It's like, oh. For God's sake, really?
Yeah,
really.
That's so.
That's such an awful commercial.
So I think
Ring
Amazon
do better.
I think Amazon will let this run independent of itself and just.
Do you think that they'll be able? Do you think they'll be able to actually resist? And I mean, we're not talking about when. I think the jury is still out as far as the Echo goes. But as far as Ring goes, I mean, how much are they going to get from Ring? There's really not much data they can get from Ring. But when you're talking about people making requests to an Echo all the time. The same thing like with the Google. What's the Google one?
The Google Home.
Google Home. So you got Google Home, Amazon Echo. These are devices that you're talking to and making requests from all the time, and. Yep. Just based on what it is that you're asking, it has to go back to their servers and do something. So if you're going to throw in all of your network traffic into that, I can't see how either Amazon or Google would be able to resist not bringing that into the fold as far as their services go, and using that kind of information to help their bottom line. And I'm not even talking about hardware sales.
No,
this is where you guys say something.
Just ready to do it.
Pretty much what we said before. I don't think Amazon's gonna risk that. I think people would hit a boiling point if that started happening.
Well, we thought the same thing about Facebook, and so far people are sticking with it.
That's a whole nother different topic, I think.
That's
really. I mean, it's. I don't think it's that different at all. I think we're talking about personal and private data. The only real difference is Facebook is basically saying, give us all your information. And, we want your pictures. We want your movies. We want your live casts. We want whatever it is that you want to give us. And we're going to use that. Whereas Amazon and Google kind of hide it in this delicious cake of services. It's like, oh, well, you can do these kinds of things if you can use Google Docs, and you don't even have to go out and get that nasty old Microsoft stuff. You can just use Google Docs and Google Numbers or whatever they call their spreadsheet information. And now you can set up a home mesh network, and you can hook that in with your Echo. And when you want more toilet paper, it'll be there lickety split, so to speak. So the fact that all of this new data is now coming in to services whose main focus is getting your data. I mean, this frankly, it scares the crap out of me. Maybe it's because I'm old and don't want kids on my yard, but I mean, this kind of thing, this really disturbs me.
We're talking about a device now. We're talking about something that if Amazon says this mesh device is going to now send us data about where you're going on the internet.
Well, it has
People would say
it has to. In order for it to work, that's how it has to work.
No, I agree.
They're saying that it's going to send Amazon data of where you're going. Okay. If Amazon said that that's what it's for, people would say, "Screw you! We're not buying this, and we're not doing that."
There was a comment in the chat there about Amazon doesn't want to be in front of Congress from George. I agree with that. I mean, they do have too much to lose. I mean, why would they want to? They'd be scrutinized by in front of Congress. Look what happened. Just like what happened with Facebook. Why would they want to be able to deal with that?
They make it. What are they going to get out of it that they're not getting from the echoes at this point?
Like I said, just like with Ring, I think they're going to let it run independent, let it do its thing, and they just wanted to have they wanted to be in that business, and they got into it. And just, if anything, I'm hoping is with Amazon grabbing it, I think the pricing is going to drop because Eero is a little pricey.
Yeah.
So,
I still think that there's more behind this than meets
You're
the
a paranoid
eye
old man, and
I am. I'm totally paranoid.
Here's my fear. My fear is if I get these.
What's that behind
devices,
you, Dave?
My fear is if I get the Echo devices, every so often they're going to just order themselves another satellite because, hey, we need another satellite in the house. Hey, Alexa, order another satellite, and another mesh satellite comes. And I come back and it's like rabbits. There's like, right now there's.
His Alexa just went off. I better be careful. Mine's going to go off too.
Okay. Well, I think that's all we have for tonight.
Alexa just ordered me a satellite, like a national satellite. Alexa, I don't want a satellite. Take it off my list.
Alexa, get that satellite for him. He wants it in orbit over his house.
Remove satellite.
Just like that commercial, the dog.
Now she's ignoring me.
Oh yeah, because you ordered a satellite. It's like no takebacks.
It's gonna show up at your doorstep tomorrow.
It's on my takebacks. It's gonna be like a NASA satellite on my doorstep.
Okay. Well, that is all we have for tonight. Before we go, Dave, how can people get a hold of you and tell me about the stuff that you do?
Yes. Well, the first thing I do is the wonderful podcast called In Touch with iOS at intouchwithios.com. And Warren was just on the last episode, and we had an absolute blast, and a lot of people have listened. And catch that latest episode, since everybody knows Warren here. So, and that's at intouchwithios.com. I also do a podcast about horse racing called Off the Charts Horse Racing, and I was thrilled to get a comment from somebody on Facebook about them learning a lot about horse racing, and they donated to us, and yeah, so everything's going pretty exciting here. So you find both of those on iTunes and your favorite podcatcher, as well as I'm on Twitter at DaveG65.
Okay, Warren, what's the deal? What's the deal there, Warren?
Mask Singer.
Masked Singer's coming up.
Yeah, you got 3 minutes to the Masked Singer, so you got to hurry.
Just ask Alexa where I am, and she'll tell you.
along with all of his bookmarks. So yeah,
And a satellite.
And a satellite. Yeah. He'll have his own satellite any day now. It's coming. It's already on the way.
Check my list. It's on the list. I'm on Facebook, even though it's evil and it makes Sky nervous.
It does make me nervous. If you, besides, of course, the Mac the Future livecast, I also do the MyMac Podcast every single week, almost every single week, with Mr. Gazmaz. Next month, we are coming up on our 9th anniversary, 9 years of doing the MyMac.com podcast. And I also do, I haven't done it in like 2 months now. I don't know why I've been holding back. I do a podcast out of my, it has been kind of dark. Do a podcast out of my car. It's called Guy's Daily Drive, even though it's not daily, and I haven't done it in a while. But you can find that over in iTunes. I also put the audio feed of this show in the Guy's Daily Drive feed, so you can go ahead and subscribe on or in iTunes and get both of those things. If you would like to help contribute to the stuff that I do, and believe me, I spend quite a bit of money on all this stuff. You can support me with a one-time donation over at coffee.com, ko-fi.com/MacParrot, or patreon.com/MacParrot. If you would like, if you'd like to do kind of a regular thing, that would be greatly appreciated. You can find all the stuff that I do is over on vertshark.com, and of course, my Twitter feed is MacParrot or VertShark over on Twitter. You can also reach me. You can send me an email, guy@mymac.com. All kinds of crazy things that are going on. I got to turn that off. Turn that off. Get back to all of us now. All right. Well, the Facebook comments were kind of a half success. They started working about halfway through. I don't know why. I don't know why they stopped. Or sorry, it'd be like this. I don't know why they stopped. But yeah, I think we will do this again. I'm going to play around with the placement of our video, because I noticed as I was bringing up the links to the stories like this that you guys were kind of disappearing. So I will probably move mine up a little bit and move you guys up a little bit, and we will figure it out. So I'd like to say thank you to everyone who has stuck with us. This has been a really weird show. Who stuck with us tonight. I really do appreciate it. Thank you for all of the great comments. Thanks to David. Thanks to Warren for being on.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I think that is going to do it for tonight. So say goodnight, guys.
Good night, guys.
Good night, guys.
And I got to hit the closing. I don't have a shortcut for the closing credits. I'll work on that. I'm sorry.
2018.
I fixed it. But it's still going to be wrong. See?
Still there.
I know.